Well, the secretive and elite Bilderberg Conference has sparked protests outside of the high-security closed-door event. The gathering of the world's top political and business leaders wrapped up over the weekend.
Who's the one to blame when your dollar's worth a quarter? Beggars, politicians, and the New World Order!
All kinds of groups protested outside of the Marriott in Chantilly, Virginia, where the leaders were meeting. It's believed that critical foreign policy decisions are made with the public being left in the dark. And the secrecy surrounding the event has bred all kinds of theories as to what exactly goes on, with some believing attendees are conspiring to build a one-world government. Our RT correspondent Abby Martin was in Chantilly, Virginia to cover the event and joins us now to tell us all about it. Abby, nice to have you here in the studio. So this event has been happening for decades, since the 1950s. This year in Chantilly, Virginia. What makes this year's event different from the ones in the past?
Well, Liz, I think it's dovetailing off this whole global awakening that we see with the Arab Spring, the Occupy Wall Street movement. A lot of protesters that I talked to in Chantilly, Virginia, kind of said for the first time since the Obama election, people all across the board are really waking up to the power structure in the United States. So you saw just a lot of people all across all walks of life really out there. And it was a really interesting melting pot of people. And I think as opposed to 4 years ago when I was also there at Bilderberg kind of covering what was going on, we saw just a massive, thousands of people over the course of the 4-day were there coming in and out. So it was a much larger presence as compared to previous years.
Okay, and yeah, it's kind of been the year of the protests. So you say, Occupy Wall Street and all these different protests has kind of made it more pronounced this year as opposed to other years.
Right.
So, we're talking top business and political leaders all in one place. So seems like a very important event to cover. And abroad, Europe, they do cover the fact that at least this is happening. But we don't see much of it being reported here in the U.S. in the mainstream media. Why not?
Well, this is a great question. I wondered the same thing myself. You look at attendees from previous years and you see very top media moguls. This year we had Google, co-founder of Facebook was there, PayPal. So you see a lot of people in the communication network. You see a lot of people high up in the media industry working to draft policies. We've known in the past that they're intricately involved with government entities, drafting policies. GE owns MSNBC. So you look at just kind of the echelon of who owns these media top-down corporate entities, and they're kind of intricately involved in these government policies. The reason why the mainstream media doesn't cover it is just that. You could say that they're complicit in whatever is going on in there. That's a lot of what the protesters were saying. The problem is that when the mainstream media does report on it, they hadn't in previous years, but this year you saw it kind of eking into the headlines, and they just kind of used the pejorative term of conspiracy theory and dismissing all the protesters that were there as conspiracy theorists, which is really just a lazy way to kind of just shut down the dialogue when really there is something going on. The Guardian, Charlie Skelton was covering it very comprehensively and giving it very fair coverage and reporting on it. So it is interesting that foreign outlets have been covering it and say, this is an important event when 140 plus of the top elites of the world in banking, finance, oil, media meet behind closed doors. The fact that it's not really mentioned or explored in the U.S. corporate media is very interesting.
That is interesting. Let's talk, I know you were there all weekend. What kind of groups were there? I know you mentioned Occupy. I know that there were a variety of different groups. Who exactly was there, and what was the message that they were trying to get out?
Liz, I think the message was just no more secrecy. They were really just fighting the secrecy, what they called, some people were saying it was a conspiracy. Some people were saying that it's just when people meet together, these power brokers, they're just colluding to perpetuate their own power. And I think a lot of people were there just protesting, why is this happening behind closed doors? A lot of people were also protesting a violation of law, which they're saying actually foreign diplomats cannot meet with U.S. officials behind closed doors without congressional oversight. So there were a whole different mix of people. You saw people talking about debt as being slavery. You saw people talking about false flags. You saw people talking about the policies that came out, what they speculate came out of previous years at the Bilderberg, global governance. And when you look at the attendees, a lot of them have written their thesis on, perpetuating a globalist system. So it's really not, when you call it a conspiracy theory, there's always kind of some truth behind where conspiracy theories arise from. And a lot of people were very grounded and very intelligent about what they were there for.
Mm-hmm. I mean, secrecy, it makes you wonder, why is it such a big secret that they need to make it completely cut off from all media, from the public? And because of that, it is hard to know what does go on inside. Is there any indication of what did go down and who the participants were this year?
Well, yes, there is a list of attendees. For the first time, if I'm not mistaken, I think they released it this year. They also had a very broad agenda that they had put forward that they were talking about: cybersecurity, just the democratic evolutions of certain countries. Very broad agendas, so not very specific, not really getting into what exactly was talked about. Someone that I did speak to, though, that went into the Marriott before it started, said that they saw about 140 desks all in a circle with their own individual microphones. So it really did sound like a UN meeting, very official. Yeah, I mean, we know the attendees. It's on the Bilderberg meeting website that people can check out. But it's, people all across the board, CEOs of all these industries, pretty much.
And it's interesting that you said that the way that it's set up is reminiscent of a UN meeting, because some people say that the very nature of this conference is illegal. And I know you spoke to a few of these folks. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
Right now we have a meeting, a consortium, if you will, of the Anglo-American Empire. Some of these gentlemen have been here for the past 20, 30, 40 years. Names like David Rockefeller, names like Kissinger, people on behalf of the Rothschild banking dynasty. They're inside right now. And on top of those 20 to 40 individuals that have been here year after year, they recruit 80 to 90 to 100 of the bright stars that they see out there in the economic, geopolitical world.
They're involved violating federal law, the Logan Act, inside of this building. It's illegal for politicians and the heads of agencies to meet with robber barons and elites to set policy. There's a bunch of payoffs going on inside of here. And that's why, as they arrive today, we're here to get in their face and let them know that people are waking up to them. They tried this mind game for decades, saying it doesn't exist, there is no elite, the international bankers don't exist, they don't want a world government, they're not going to try to establish that. Now they're trying to openly establish world government as the solution to the derivatives crisis that they created. And so all that's happening is humanity is waking up and getting past the puppet Obamas and Romneys and Tony Blairs and Camerons, and they're getting to the actual oligarch puppet masters that are controlling the whole system.
So many believe that this should not be happening and that there's even some legal concerns about this happening. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's called the Logan Act, and we actually have the law written up right now, if we can show that. It says that any citizen of the United States without authority of the U.S. carries on any correspondence or intercourse with a foreign government or any officer or agent thereof with intent to influence the measures or conduct of any foreign government or to defeat the measures of the U.S. shall be fined or imprisoned not more than 3 years. So that's what the majority of people seem to be saying out there, Liz, is that this is that, they think that the State Department has been bought out by lobbyists, foreign diplomats, and corporations, really, who are making the decisions that affect everyone. But as we saw with Alex Jones, he has a big movement behind him. I mean, they were live streaming out there. It's really the new media taking it back as the corporate media fails to do their job. Of course, RT was out there, but we saw thousands of people were tuned in for 12-hour blocks at a time, thousands of people tuning into Luke's live stream, Alex's live stream. So it really is the new media that you see. People care about this. They want to know what's going on. And it was really amazing to see how many people were really tuned in for so long to see this going on.
Very interesting to see who was there and who wasn't there. Abby, thank you so much for being there and keeping us informed as to what was going on. That was RT correspondent Abby Martin.
Thanks for having me.